And welcome to that Vinyl Channel Sunday morning live broadcast. I'm not normally off on Sundays, but I have something going on tomorrow that I needed to take today off for. I figured why not go ahead and just do something live. And and I like the Beatles a lot, and I figured why not talk about the Beatles, be talking about anything else. So how's everybody doing today? I'm doing pretty good. I got my coffee here. I'm ready to go. So yeah, it's just going to be some talking about Beatles or anything else anybody else wants to talk about. So where do I start? I was my mom liked the Beatles. My mom was 16 years old when she had me, so she was a teenager. And back in the mid 60s, most teenagers were listening to stuff like the Beatles or Herman's Hermits and stuff like that. And so is my mom. So, as a kid, I was born in '65. So in the late '60s, early '70s, I was listening to her 45. She had I Love You, She Loves You, and she had I Want to Hold Your Hand. So I listened to those. So that was mainly my main uh, entry into listening to the Beatles. And then something really interesting happened when I got into junior high school. I actually won on a radio station. I won some of these records. I won this one, not this exact one, but I won this one here, and the blue one as well. I won as well. So let me see if we can get the blue one out. Show you that one. So I also won the blue one as well. So let me make sure that is that up. Yeah, it's up. Okay. So let me go ahead and all right. So as a matter of fact, I won some pretty cool copies of those two records. They were on the Capitol label, and they were on red and blue vinyl, which today those copies are actually pretty sought after. Worth I saw some in a record store few 7 years ago for going for $100. So, anyways, but that was my really eye-opening experience of listening to the Beatles, because I was able to hear all these great songs on these two albums, and it's a lot of songs on these albums, a lot of Beatles songs. So really, really got me going into the Beatles and understanding exactly what songs were theirs. And not interesting. My mom never liked the Beatles, the later Beatles, like Sgt. Pepper's going forward and stuff like that, or Abbey Road. She liked the earlier Beatles. So, but so one of the first Beatles records that I bought with my own money, and this is the exact copy, by the way. It was I think in either '81 or '82 at a Music Land, and I bought this record right here, the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's. This copy is on the purple Capitol label. So I played this so much. Actually, I wore out the spindle hole. It's kind of like nowadays when I go to play this, I have to center it on the turntable because the center hole is a little bit worn out. That's often that I played this. So hopefully the chat is working. I'm not sure. Let me check that real fast, because this is a new setup for me. Let me go out here and double check, make sure that the chat is working. It should be. Let's see here. And good morning, by the way, everybody. Go out here, and we're going here, and we're going to just type something out. Make sure that my chat is working. It should, yeah, it's working. Okay, great. All right, so got that taken care of. I wasn't sure about that. So, good morning, B-Sides. That's a little bit, let me see if I can't adjust that. It's a little bit low. All right, there you go, that's better. Good morning. How you doing this morning? New face, huh? Yep. I don't normally do live broadcasts on Sundays. I usually work on Sundays, but I took the day off today, and I started doing lives on my channel about 6 months ago, and I always wanted to do one on the weekend, but I worked the weekend, so here's my opportunity. First day off that I'm really not doing much on that day. So, but yeah, I figured, I'm a big fan of the Beatles. I'm a vinyl channel. Why not go ahead and talk about the Beatles or anything else that you all want to talk about this morning? I do have my cup of coffee here. Hopefully you all have your coffee with you. So, yeah, we're just talking about some of the records that influenced me. Big influence by Sgt. Pepper's. For first Beatles record that I ever bought for myself. I have a lot of Beatles 45s. I have over about 125 Beatles 45s. I took some out here, some at random in case want to talk about those. And of course, anything y'all want to talk about as well. But yeah, so here's something interesting. So about 3 or 4 years ago, my wife's great aunt, who I believe is her mother's cousin. Isn't that how that works? I don't know. Anyways, she had come down prior to a prior time. I met her once up. She's from I'm in Florida, and she's from North Florida, and I went up there and I met her one time. But she actually came down here one summer, and she liked all the records that I had back then. And the next time she came down was a couple of years later. She surprised us, and she says, "Hey, we're coming down. I got a surprise for you all." We're like, "Okay, what do you got?" Right? I didn't know it was a surprise for me. I had no idea. But what she has is she had this shed in her backyard, and she she had been in the house ever since she got married. So she'd been in the house 30 years or so. So had a shed in the backyard, and she had this garbage bag, this Glad green garbage bag, that was sitting in a corner in the shed with about 200 records inside of it. Had been there for years and years and years, and she came across it. And she goes, "Huh, I wonder if Bozz would be interested in any of these records." So she brought them down. I went through them all. A lot on the bottom were just really bad shape, waterlogged, a lot of mildew and stuff like that. The ones on the very bottom. She has some country stuff in there as well. I'm not a country person. Tennessee, Ford, and stuff like that. Just stuff my dad listens to, but not so much I listen to. But she did have some good stuff in there as well. I kept about 50, maybe 40 or 50 records of the 200, because some of them were just trash where I couldn't keep them. Other ones were records that I just didn't like, and ended up actually giving those, if they're playable and they looked good enough, I gave them to the thrift store down the road. But so one of the ones I kept was really interesting. So it's a Beatles record that she had, okay, and she told us, and this is great about people handing down their collections, right? Mothers hand them down to their kids, and their kids hand them down to their kids. So it has her name here, Pat Parker, which is her maiden name, by the way. So she told us that she worked at a record store up in North Florida as a teenager. It was one of her very first jobs. and she bought this record on the day that it was released, and she wrote her name on the back of it, which a lot of people did back then. So it's something that's from my wife's family, something that was important to her at one time, and it's very cool. I mean, people don't understand. That's another great thing about having physical media. It's not just owning the music. It's families pass down things from generation to generation. You have something, so something you can enjoy. And the record plays decent. I mean, it wasn't in the best shape in the world, but I cleaned it up. I would say it's almost VG plus, but compared to how it was sitting in a shed for 25 or 30 years in a plastic bag, it wasn't bad. But I was very excited to go ahead and get that from her, and of course I thanked her. So of course, if y'all have any stories or anything you want to talk about, if you have any favorite Beatles records, I would like to know about it. What's the very first Beatles song that you ever heard? For me, it goes back to my mom, and probably "She Loves You," because the very first Beatles song I ever heard. So my mom had 45s like this growing up. So that's I get that from my mom. I have about 10,000 45s in my collection. So I really enjoy collecting 45s, but I also enjoy LPs as well. But yeah, I'm just going to show you some 45s here that are pretty cool that I have that I bought over the years. Here's something very interesting. This is a Canadian release on the Atco label. This is Ain't She Sweet. So very, very cool 45 to have. I know in the US it was on a traditional Atco label, the yellow and the white, but being the Canadian, it was on this black and silver label. So that's kind of cool. And what else do I have here? But at the back, have now this here is interesting as well. If you're this here is a label called "What's It All About," and this was I think it was a religious record put out by a religious company, and that's fine. But this has parts 1 and 2. But this is an interview with the Beatles on this label, What's It All About? And again, it's an interview with the Beatles. Pretty cool. Part 2. So I bought this about 10-12 years ago. I think the price of it has gone up since I bought it, but it's a pretty cool piece of history to have. I have about maybe 10 or 12 of these What's It All About from all different bands. I have Styx, I have Kansas, Supertramp, Dr. Demento, Kenny Rogers, Led Zeppelin. So these are pretty cool to collect. And again, it was just an interview with the band and looking at their music through the religious side of things. But interesting. This is a pretty cool copy here. I think this is from the UK or maybe Australia. I don't think it's German. I think it's UK. But this here is the Ballad of Yoko and Ono. It's pretty cool picture sleeve, and it has the 45 with the center spindle still intact. So they did that for jukeboxes because in the UK they didn't make 45s with the holes in them. You don't know how many times where especially earlier videos that I put up, I was doing a lot of 45s, and I'd be showing them with the holes like this, and people from the UK would comment and say, why is there a hole in your 45 for? And I explained because originally they came with these big holes, but in the UK most 45s don't have these big holes. So yeah, that's one thing. But I have this Love Me Do on Tolly. Have a bunch of these on the Tolly label. I'm not sure why they put them out on so many different Tolly labels. It's like hundreds of them, it seems like. So but yeah, So I like the fact I know that Ringo Starr has a brand new album out. It's a country album, right? I heard that he had performed with Larkin Poe up somewhere near Nashville sometime maybe this year or last year when the album came out. You know, the album went to #1 as well, which is very cool. I haven't got that album yet. It's on my list to go ahead and pick up. So because I want to hear it. Yeah, just being a big fan of Ringo Starr. I got a bunch of his records. So I probably have more Ringo Starr solo records than I do anybody else. So I do have several as well. Paul McCartney. I think I have only one of George Harrison. I'm not a big fan of his solo work. It's okay, and yeah. So I picked this up too, which is pretty interesting. This here is an Odeon EP. I believe this is an Italian. So here is the outer cover, and of course it's pretty old, so it's not necessarily the greatest shape. And somebody wrote on this as well. So, but this is this was put out in 2 different labels. I think this was on dark blue. I think on red as well. The dark blue I think is earlier pressing, and the red is a little bit later pressing on the same one. But it's pretty cool to have. There you go. This has "Do You Want to Know a Secret?" and they have the French wording for it: "Twist and Shout," "She Loves You," and "A Taste of Honey." So pretty awesome single to have. I think that it may play at 30. No, it says at 45 RPM. So I played it at 45. So, and I bought these. Beatles. These are aftermarket. Someone was selling these. I don't know if they're still around. It's been a while since I actively was looking for sleeves to 45s. There was a guy on eBay selling. He remade a bunch of 45 RPM labels, and he sold them. So, and some of them were fantasy ones that were never actually available. So I don't know if this is a fantasy one or if this is a copy of one that was actually made or not. But he did a pretty good job with this. So I bought, I don't know, I think 5 of these off of him. So they're scattered throughout my 45 RPM collection. So what else do I got here? I can show you. This is pretty interesting. So for Record Store Day a few years ago, they put out what was called Stax Does the Beatles, which is really cool pressing. So basically, it's a double LP, and this is a bunch of artists that appeared on the Stax label throughout the years who did covers of Beatles songs, and they put them all on this one record. So it's really cool to have. Let me take it out and show you the put that over there. If you want to see the track listing, there you go, and open it up. Of course, just more information about each song. So Booker T and the MGs, the Bar-Kays, Isaac Hayes, Steve Cropper, Carla Thomas. So a bunch of artists again that appeared on the Stax labels over the years. So I do really like this record. It's pretty cool. So, and again, I'm definitely open to any conversation you want to have about the Beatles or anything else. Good morning, everybody. Hope your Sunday morning is going well. So we're going to put that back over here. Here's the interesting thing about this. I got this off of eBay a few years ago. Pretty interesting. It's a Beatles bootleg. I think it's from the 70s. I think. I don't know what year this came out. Might have been from the 80s or the 70s. But it's called Beatles. Nothing is Real. And there's the label if you want to see it. So basically, this has a bunch of outtakes of the song Strawberry Fields Forever. I think it has one live version. It has different versions of it, earlier versions, outtakes of the song. So it's a pretty cool record to have. Yeah, so, but definitely a nice Beatles bootleg for you there. Yeah, normally, like I said, I'm not normally off on Sundays, so I figured I'd take advantage of it and do a live broadcast. Talk about some Beatles, why not? You know, what's very cool is that you know, it is a bunch of these songs like this one here is All You Need Is Love, right? So common song, but over the years, you know, these songs, they sell well no matter what decade they put out. So Capitol keeps on reissuing these songs over and over again. But over the years, the company changes labels. So, you know, when it goes from one label to the next label, then you have the song on a different label. So, you know, they're very cool collecting all these different labels. Here it is on the Capitol label. Which is, from what I understand, not too common to find on these Capitol labels. I think I have 4 or 5 different songs on this. I think they call it the Target label. So and there's a couple of different Target labels with different Capitol logos. This is the more common Capitol logo. There's also one that's more squished up like a football, and I've seen those, and those are less common too. So but yeah, it's fun to collect 45s. Trust me, it can be very addictive. Got a another VJ here. Do you want to know a secret? But this is on a more standard VJ label. So with the coloring around it, which is interesting because Capitol ended up adopting this color ring as well. So you have some Capitol Beatles also with this coloring around it. So here's something pretty interesting. I don't know if I got more than I have more than one of these, but do I have only one here? Did I pull out only one? I don't remember. Let me see if I can just real quickly thumb through. I think I pulled out more than, did I? Well, maybe not. Doesn't matter too much, I guess. If I come across it, I'll show it to you. But this is I ran across now. So I went up to Rhode Island a while ago, maybe 2010, maybe, and we took a trip out to Boston, which was really awesome. And they had a record store out there. I don't know if it's still open or not. If you're familiar with the Boston area, it was called I think it was called the Nugget or the Golden Nugget Records. So I think they had like a logo on their bag. If you dug it, if you dug it, it's a nugget. So, but I was going through all of the 45s in their store, and I came across, I think, 2 or 3 of these. I think they might have had more, but I didn't pick up all of them. I picked up 2 or 3 of them. And but this here was from I believe it was French. No, it's Italy. Okay, so I believe it's Italian. So, but they came out with this set of reissues on the Apple label. So, and of course, I believe it's French. Is it French or Italian? It says Italy right there, so I think it's Italian. And they have the stamp too. If I understand, the stamp is for them to be allowed to be imported and sold on the country. So, anyways, but they had a bunch of these 45s again. I think I got 2 or 3 of them, but they had a set of these. What's interesting is that they weren't sold as like together in a set, like in a box set, or they actually produced them one by one. But it was a series of these, and they're pretty cool to have. And they all have similar covers to this. And this is the "Can't Buy Me Love" version. So Pretty cool. Let's see what else I might have here to show you. This one I picked up a couple years ago. Really, really interesting. So I think this is also what country? This is German, I believe. Again, this is the Beatles, Blue, 1967 to 1970. If you see it here in the corner, it has this. Let me see if I can get it up there. It says DMM. See that? It says DMM. So this was cut on with DMM, which is a direct metal master cutting, which is very popular in Germany. It was actually perfected. It started to be perfected in Germany, and it was on blue vinyl, which is really, really nice. I mean, this is an extremely nice copy of this record. It was I bought it to one of those auction lives, and I didn't pay that much money for it, surprisingly. But and I got it. It sounded brand new. But again, it's a direct metal master copy of this, which is really, really cool. And it's the Beatles, and it's on this blue vinyl. Excuse me, I have a bad cough. I've had a bad cough for a while, and it just keeps on hanging on. So, and what else I got here to show you? Maybe I showed you that. This was another one of those, I believe, records from my my wife's grand. Yeah, this has her name on it as well. But another one of those records that she had. My wife's great aunt gave me a bag of records. Good morning, Yerkin girl. How are you doing today? He gave me a bag of records, and I was able to salvage about 50 records, or 40 or 50 records, and this is one of them. So very cool. You know, it's great when they can, when your family can. It was my wife's family, but she was actually able to hand down these record stores. So it's very cool. Again, she wrote her name on it whenever she was a teenager. I'm doing well. I've had a cold since the beginning of December. And now just the cough is left. I'm trying to get rid of it, so I apologize if I cough on camera, but it is what it is. But so far, I'm having a good Sunday. I got my coffee with me. I got Otto with me. Otto is my co-pilot. If you're familiar with the movie Airplane, of course I'm serious, and don't call me Shirley. This is my favorite coffee cup. So I always have to have Otto with me. Yep, love Otto. So here's one that it's more frustrating than anything else. I'll show you this. So this is a record I picked up sometime around 2008 or so, and I have no reason to believe that this is a counterfeit, but it seems like wherever I go to try to find out, nobody can agree. Number one, it's hard to get any information on this. Number two, I did my research before I bought it. I thought it was not a counterfeit, but other places, now that I look up, says it is a counterfeit. It doesn't appear to be counterfeit. It looks real to me. So, and there's a star on it that is questionable whether the star is the real star or not. But the way people say that's a real star, I mean, I've yet to have somebody show me their copy of this record and show the star. Say, well, this is the real one. I've not seen that yet. But this is Penny Lane, which is a promotional that they put out. And this does not have the flute at the end or the flourish at the end. So it's pretty cool. And on the back, it has Strawberry Fields. Well, I think Strawberry Fields Forever is the A side. Is that right? I believe it is. I think Penny Lane is the B side. But of course, on Beatles records, you almost always have a double A side, because almost all the songs become hits, regardless whether they're A side or B side. I do think Strawberry Fields Forever is the actual A side on this. But it was in really nice shape when I picked it up for the promo. Again, I do believe that it's a real copy, not a counterfeit. But right now I'm unsure because it's just hard. You know, I really would like to get with somebody who says that they have that I didn't know for sure theirs is an original, and then compare mine with theirs. But so far, that hasn't happened yet. So you're into the Beatles as well? Is any other Beatles collectors out there? If you do you collect 45 CDs, LPs, any favorite albums? have another Tolly here. Again, like I said, it seems like it was put out on 100 different Tolly labels. This one here is a black one and silver. Twist and Shout. So I used to be really yep. Do you have a favorite song, your Yorkie Girl? It's hard to pick a favorite song for me because there's so many songs that they put out that are so great. And another Tolly, another one. This one on the yellow with the black. So again, you know, it seems like it's like, you know, I got a bunch of these on all different Tolly labels. Ask Me Why is a great song. Should Have Known Better is also a really great one. Yep. This is pretty interesting here. This is Oba Di Oba Da on the Japanese. Here's the Japanese cover. And it has the lyrics. You can't see all of them, but you can see through the whole. It's got lyrics on the back, and it's on the Apple label. And it has While My Guitar Gently Sleeps, which is one of my favorite Beatles songs, on the B side. Yeah, thanks. I do like the Japanese Beatles. I have a few of them. Again, I have about 125 or 130 Beatles 45s. I don't have them all in front of me. I just grabbed some that I thought were interesting. So this is here also interesting, becoming harder and harder to find. I understand. So this is it says Beatles Forever. It's a picture sleeve, but basically this is the Capital Starline series, which is like a greatest hits, not like a gold series, but it has Kansas City on one side, and it has Boys on the other. Pretty cool. Interesting color for the Starline too. So I have them on actually on different colors, Starlines. So how about Free as a Bird? Any fans of this song out there? If y'all know the story about this song, Free as a Bird. So I remember I picked this up when it came out. So great Beatles song. But basically, this is in the 90s when this came out. So what they did was, I know it's been a while, hasn't it? So yeah, so they found a tape that John Lennon had been working, like just a cassette tape that he had been talking notes into and singing these songs and writing down music. And after his death, Yoko Ono gave that tape to Paul McCartney and said, maybe you can do something with it. And so went through the tape and found some songs that were suitable. And back then it was all of them except for John Lennon, of course, but George Harrison and Ringo Starr and Paul McCartney was still available. So they all got together and they added their music and their tracks to this song Free as a Bird, and they put it out as a Beatles single. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Another cool Odeon. This is Michelle from the Rubber Soul album, and it's on a. I think this is another French. This one here is on the Odeon label. Take it out, show it to you. Has 4 songs on it. Very, very cool. No, I like that because I started really getting into these Beatles 45s. Of course, I collected them a little bit in the 90s, but starting around 2007, 2006, I really started really big getting these Beatles 45s. And back then, the vinyl revolution hadn't happened yet, and records were relatively inexpensive. I mean, I have had some Led Zeppelin 45s that I bought back then, which I thought was a lot of money for $50. Today, it's worth $300, $400. So, so a lot of these 45s I was getting back in the either in the 90s or in the early 2000s, whenever before the prices really went up. So I lucked out. So I got a lot of these records back then. Real Love, yeah. Not Real Love. Was that the B-side of that? Not familiar with that. Real. Here's a Bird. And not. So I like the Real Love. So I'm not familiar with Real Love. I probably do know it, but it's just not at the moment getting me. Is that from one of their albums? What's Real Love from? I never said I know everything about the Beatles, because I don't. But I mean, I do like the Beatles as a group, and I know somewhat about them. But there's a lot about them that I still don't know. So and I'm not familiar with every single one of their albums as far as all the tracks. So I'll show you another 45 here real fast. So another Odeon. This is the blue Odeon. I think this is also French or maybe German. I think this one is German. But this is the Ballad of Yoko and Ono and Old Brown Shoe. And it was on the blue Odeon label. Yeah, I wish I could show all of them to you. Again, it'll take way too long. I got a bucket just full of Beatles 45. Matter of fact, that's the only. I have these. If you look around me, I have these buckets over here. Probably can't see on the camera, but you can see them on this side. These gray buckets. Each bucket holds between about 110 to 130 45s, depending. And the Beatles is the only group that I have that takes up one whole bucket. So I really do enjoy the Beatles a lot. So here's another one of these capital bullseyes. I want to hold your hand. It's in a different font. So it's the big letters on this one. So and I saw her standing there is on the B side. They're pretty cool to have. And this is what was interesting. This is from the Deck of Gone series. If you're not familiar with the Deck of Gone or the story of that, back in I think 1961. Don't quote me, but I think that's the year 1961. The manager of the Beatles was shopping them around for a label. Yep. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that lots of times. That Ed Sullivan. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's 1961. I mean, 61 years. Excuse me. But anyways, they were still playing in bars and clubs over in Germany and the UK and stuff like that, and they were shopping them around for a label, and they got them in front of a couple of executives, or one executive, I think, over at Decca Records, and they had a set list, and they went in and they actually played a bunch of these songs for them, and they did record these sessions, but Decca ended up deciding not to sign the Beatles, so bad on them. But eventually somebody got to these tapes in the vault and all these songs, and decided to put them out on the 45s, mostly bootlegs. I don't think there's ever been any official releases of these songs. Right? I know they're out there. There's albums and there's 45s like this, but I think they're all unofficial releases. I don't think the Beatles themselves ever officially released any of that material. But it's cool to have. This is Three Cool Cats and Hello Little Girl. I like the Three Cool Cats. It's a really great version of the song by them. Here's another pretty cool single. I don't know when this came out. I think this came out in the 80s, I think. But Searching, Beatles Searching, pretty cool. Sleeve right there. That's the label of the record. So yeah, but I think it was pressed in the 80s. Yeah, it says 82 here on the back, so it was pressed in 82.